Hello and welcome to the studio where we paint away the stress of everyday life. My name is Clive from Clive 5 Art and I'm here in Wales, UK. Now I was watching a documentary the other night on Netflix from that famous 1970s, 1980s oil artist, Mr. Bob Ross. And yeah, it got me thinking, I would like to pay a tribute to his son, Stephen. So before we do that, let's have a look at the colours that I'm going to use. And I'm going to talk about how you can do this type of painting in acrylics. Yes. So never fear. The only fear is your own imagination.
It's time to learn with our friend Clive. So grab your brush, have a great time. And don't forget to click subscribe.
So as we look down at the canvas, I want to say a big thank you to Netflix, and because it was quite an interesting, it was an interesting documentary, and I want to say that it's inspired that particular artist in the 80s. I'm not going to mention his name anymore. Stephen's father inspired me so much to actually bring me in, and I did a lot of oils painting. My mother was into flowers and things like that. Anyway, to cut a long story short, you know my story with acrylics. So I thought I'd bring this type of thing into acrylics. There's a couple of things on a palette I want to talk about. I will proceed to do that. You can see this paint I've got there is quite watery and runny. I'll explain that in 1 second. This white paint is thicker than that paint, and I'll explain that again in a second. And that blue is quite a sparkly blue, and I'll explain that as well. But I got some mid-yellow, I got some orange and some mid-red, which I've mixed together to make an orange. There's a mid-red there. I've got a very pale blue, which I've added white to. That's an ultramarine blue. So ultramarine blue, a little bit of white has made that colour. I've added something to that to make it sparkly. I got some burnt umber, some yellow ochre, some red ochre. So I basically made a brown, but a lot redder. I mixed a few of these colours. These are slightly thicker. I've added something to them, which I'll explain about in 1 second as well. And some black. Now, if you haven't got any additives, it doesn't matter. You can paint this in acrylics. The only thing holding you back is your own imagination. It is. So, as that famous artist used to say, this is your world, this is your canvas. You can become anything you want in this particular world. And let's see if we can't emulate something along those lines today. That's what I was thinking. So I'm picking up a 1 inch short flat. I've got a little bit of medium mix there, a little bit of water and some flow improver. Retarder, sorry. There's a retarder, some medium mix. All these products you'll find on my website, www.clive5art.co.uk, and along with the other things I'm going to be using here as well. So I'm just going to moisten down my brush. Got a little bit of, you've got to get a little bit of moisture into your brush when you're using acrylics, because it stops the slowing down on the paint. And the other thing, when you've got a palette like this and you've got a wet palette, just every 20 minutes, whatever, just give it a little squirt like that with a fine mist bottle. That's one of those little aerosol bottles there, just to mist down the paint to stop it from drying out on you. So today I've got a canvas, and it's a canvas panel. It's not cardboard, it's actually a canvas panel, and it's a 15 by 12. I've just put some blue gesso on there today, because I was going to do a blue sky, but I've decided I'm not going to do a blue sky now. I'm going to do an orange sky. So let's get some yellow and a little bit of titanium white, just to make it a little bit more opaque, because the yellow I tend to use is a little bit transparent. And we just start in the middle of the canvas, and we just bring in that out like that. There we go. Just bring that out like that, and get a little bit of brush, a little bit of white paint in the center, and again just bring that out like that. And a bit more yellow. Just bringing that around. Now, I'm not going to try and be as good as Steve's father by any chalk, or even Steve for that matter, because Steve's an accomplished artist in his own right. I thought I would just try and do my own thing And I hope in my heart of hearts that maybe one day that Steve would see this painting and think, yeah, you know, that's a nice thing to do. And my dad would be proud. And that's all I want at the end of the day, is to be able to just be myself. So I'm bringing in a little bit of red, and don't forget this is acrylics, this is not oils in any way, shape or form. And then before that dries, I'm just going to get a nice soft brush, if I can find a nice soft brush. There we are. I got a fan brush there, and that'll work. And I'm just going to blend that through, just like that. I don't want it too soft. I don't want it too fluffed. There we are. Just blend that through like that. Just chuck that back in the water. Let's get a bit more yellow. And then just try and get that lovely bit of red now. Bit of red. Bit more red. Just on the outer side of that area there, just like that, just to warm it up, just a touch. Don't work hard. There's no need to work hard. Just let the paint do the work. Just let the paint do the work. Let's get a little bit more yellow, and just keep building and building. A little bit of white. Oops, let's just change my brush. Dum de dum 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 dum. Do 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 do. Let's just bring a bit of white. I want a white centre there. So I'm just merging that. Now my paint is starting to get just that little bit tacky. Just that little bit tacky. But you need, when it starts going like that, you just need to lift the brush off and let the paint drag off the brush. Caress it with love. That's what you want to do. Just caress it with love. Just take your foot off the accelerator and just let the car coast. Just let it coast. There we go. Do you want that little bit of a glow in the sky? Just like that. There. Just a little bit of glow. Just like that. So we get another brush. Again, just taking the moisture off the brush. I don't want the brush wet, soaking wet. I want a bit more yellow. I'm just going to merge that in. Just like that. Making that lovely sky. So I'm going to get some red. And now I'm going to add a little bit of ultramarine blue to that, just to make that purpley type of colour on the red side. So we want to make a nice purpley type of colour, because I want to bring in a little bit of warmth into the top of the sky. Just like that. And then getting a bit of yellow, bringing that in, merging it. Just like that. Just let they say this. They used to say happy accidents, and there is wonderful things, happy accidents, because I was watching the documentary and Steve said that you learn more sometimes by trying to correct a mistake than actually by painting something perfectly. So if you make mistakes or happy accidents, as Steve's father used to say, then that's fine, because you can learn so much by that particular process. And I, over the years I've learned to control the mistakes, or the happy accidents, as you would say. You've learned to control them and learn by them, and let them become part of you. Let them become part of your painting process. And you can only make so many happy accidents before things start to replicate themselves. So what I'm trying to say by that, what I'm trying to say is there's only so many mistakes you can actually make before you think, oh, I've done that. I've done something similar to that last time and I know how to do it now. And this is where the joy of this particular process comes in. So we've just put a few stringers in, or doers. We've just put a few doers here and there. Just put a few doers here and there like that. Just let them. Just let them happen. Just let them. Don't fight it. Don't fight. Don't fight. That's the key when it comes to doing, especially with acrylics. You don't fight the acrylics. You let the acrylics happen. And then we just blend out the bottoms of these clouds just to take the roughest edge off and to make it nice and smooth like that. All of a sudden we've got this fantastic looking sky and we haven't had to work hard and it looks absolutely brilliant. I do. So what I'm going to do now is just give my brush a quick wash, and I'm just using ordinary tap water, just tap water, a little bit of household soap. Baby soap is the best. So if you go out and buy soap that's designed for babies because it's got moisturizer in it, that's all you need. You don't need to spend a lot of money. You don't. Don't be confused by these people that say you have to buy this and you have to buy that. You don't. At the end of the day, use what's to hand and see what you can come up with what you've got. And as I said, I'm using acrylics today. I'm just trying to create a lovely warmth of sky. And I'm just going to bring a little bit of yellow just down like this. And maybe a little bit of warmth down there as well. Just like that, just to throw a little bit of colour into the base of the painting. And I'm going to allow that to just dry off naturally. There we go. So I'm going to put my brush in the water to soak. You don't have to soak. I wouldn't soak your brushes. You should really clean them, but I haven't got a lot of time. And I try to keep my videos short. I'm not rushing today. I'm not rushing because I want to do this quite nicely today. So I'm just enjoying the painting process, in fact. And that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about, is enjoying the painting process. So if it's all you've got is a brush, then just use any old brush, a small number 8 or something like that. And you can see by soaking your brushes that the actual paint on your handle will crack and peel off. But don't be despondent with that. It's only paint. It's not a problem. You don't have to chuck the brush away. Just peel that off, and then give it a little light sand with a bit of sanding paper, or oops, knock your camera over. There you go. We just need to reset that now. There, hopefully that should be okay. You get a bit of sandpaper and you need to sand that down just nice and smooth so you don't get any splitters in your fingers. So let's mix a little bit of black. There we are, a little bit of Mars black and some burnt umber. And you see it's quite thick. It's quite a thick black. And quite a thick brown. We just want a dark colour. We can chuck a bit of blue in that as well. It doesn't really matter. There we are. You can see it's quite thick and gloopy. Thick and gloopy. And we could put, let me think, we could put in some sort of a mountain coming in like this, because that's like a little thing that Steve's father used to love, because he used to live in Alaska, and he used to love and he used to look at the scenes and the mountains, and we got mountains and things around where I live, and these tend to be like rolling hills, and not so much mountains as such, but they tend to be like rolling hills and like that type of thing. There we go. We'll put a few of them in. Why not? It's my world. I can do what I like on this canvas. I can do what I like. And just buff that in. Just like that. We can put another little peak coming in. Just like that. as you're doing this, look at the painting. Look how the brush is pulling off the paint. Or if you're using a palette knife, which we will do in a minute, because I want to show you how you can use a palette knife quite easy with acrylics. Get the shape of this mountain. There may be a little doer there too. Let's put a little doer in there like that. Who knows? There we are. I don't know. Ooh, there we go. And just drag a bit of that down in there as well, like that. Now, I haven't been formally trained. I've just painted from the heart all my life. Well, not say all my life, but since I've been painting, I've painted from the heart, and I've just really did enjoy the process of painting. And I used to watch this series of painting on the TV, because it came in quite late in the UK, because we didn't have satellite and stuff like that then, and we used to have 3 channels: BBC One, BBC Two, HTV. And that was it. And sometimes we'd have a couple of American programs on the TV, and we could watch. And because there was no internet in them days, there wasn't. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to run. This is something that you wouldn't see with oils, but I want to run the hairdryer over this. I want to dry this off, because I've got a process I want to use, and I want to try and build these mountains in, because I want to put a bit of snow on them today. Okay, so what I want to do now is introduce a palette knife, and these are a couple of small palette knives, as you can see there. What I've done with this particular paint, believe it or not, all I've done is added some chalk to it, a little bit of chalk. Now I can make that quite thick with some chalk. Now you can add chalk to acrylic paint; it's not a problem, because the acrylic resin will bind to that. But what I recommend you do after the painting is finished is varnish the painting. You need to varnish the painting, and I'd use something like well, you could use a matte varnish if you wanted to, but I tend to varnish these type of paintings if I've used a little bit of chalk or something. Is it archival? Well, we don't know, because acrylics have only been around since the 50s, believe it or not. And what's that? 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000, 2010, 2020, well, about 70 years, 80 years, maybe something like that. 70 years? Yeah, say 70 years. The acrylics have only been around for 70 years. So we don't know if they're archival. Unlike oils that have been around for centuries and that are still hanging on walls and in churches and in all these museums and galleries and things. We don't know with acrylics, because they're only 70-year-old. They're still babies. So we don't know what the lifespan of acrylic paint is. It's as simple as that. So we need to make ourselves a palette. And this is, there we go, just a little bit of cardboard. Just a little bit of cardboard. And I've cut the corner off. There you go. We'll chuck that corner in the bin. And I cut the little circle out there, like that. And this is just a bit of cardboard, as you can see. It's just a bit of cardboard. It's drawing of a little, I don't know what that is. What is it? The penguin on the back. There we are. And there's another painting I done ages ago. So I cut a hole out there, and we'll get that, and we'll chuck that in the bin. So we got ourselves a little palette. Now you turn the palette around, and you hold it like that. See? And that's all you need. Why spend money? We don't spend money. Not in this gallery. Gallery studio. So what I'm going to do is get a bit of paint. Get a little bit of paint. I'm going to put it onto my canvas on my palette like that. I'm going to get a little bit of orange just by there, just because I want to flavour it up. Think of it like an ice cream. We want a nice particular flavour. It's and he chucks his palette knife on the floor. There you go. So we pick that up. So you don't need to do that. You don't need to chuck your palette knife around. I did that because I did, and it was a happy accident. Oh, not so much for my back anyway. So a little bit of white, and as you can see, and that's all I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit off like that, and I'm going to blend that into the mountain. Well, not blend it in, but I'm going to palette knife it in to the mountain. Hopefully if we can. So I want to get a little bit of snow coming in. So I got a little roll of paint, and I'm just going to tip on there, and I'm just going to roll that in. Just like that. Shh. Just let it smooth. Let it smooth paint. I'm going to put another bit of paint just on those rolling hills. Just like that. Just a little bit of paint. And you can see the texture coming off. And it looks like snow. We'll do again. There. We just come down. And just roll that paint. There. Like that. And again we do there. And just let it drag. Nice and smooth. A little bit of pressure, not a lot of pressure. You don't want a lot of pressure on this. You don't want a lot of pressure. So, get in the paint. A little roll of paint. A little roll of paint. And then we'll put another little doer just in there like that. Just a little roll of paint. And we need to come down this side now, so I'm just going to drag it down, as you can see, like that. It's a wonderful way to paint some snow-capped mountains. I'm going to put a little bit more paint in there like that. I'm not going to worry too much about that. I'm just going to chuck a bit of. We'll paint over that. Let's get a little bit of this. We're going to make a little pink colour. Just make a little pink colour like that. Make a little pink colour. I'm going to do it like this. A little big pink colour. I'm going to get a little bit of burnt umber into that. Just a touch of burnt umber. I want to make a nice shadowy colour, but I want a warm, pinky type of. Maybe that's not the right colour. Now let's just play a little bit. Let's put a little bit more burnt umber into that. You need to play sometimes. You need to experiment. It's all about experimentation. It really is. Let's get a bit more paint. There we go. Now, I've got a bit of warmth there. I'll clean my palette knife off and I can hear my little dog barking in the background. Little Jack Russell Molly. She's full of beans and she runs around the garden and chases the birds and things. There we go. She enjoys her walks and I take her for a walk quite a lot. Twice to 3 times a day sometimes. She really does enjoy it. So we're just going to blend that in like that. A little bit of shadow, just to give a little bit of dimension is the word. A little bit of dimension, just bring that down like that. Let's get a bit more white. Let's just drag that down. Just like that. As you can see, it's okay. It's your world. You do what you want. You play with this as long as you want. And if it starts to get a bit tacky, then don't worry. Just dry it off with a hairdryer and paint over it. Don't stress with acrylics. You can let the acrylics work for you and not against you. I'm just going to put that one side, clean my little palette knife off. I'm going to get a blue now. I'm going to get some blue. And I'm just going to put some blue in. Just like this. And I might put a little bit of blue just over the area there like that. And I get a little bit of darker blue just in the background there like that. Very, very lightly. Just pulling this in. As you come down, just a little bit of darker colour, just here and there like that, and just dragging the brush on the side, just like that. Not worrying too much about it at all. And then I'm going to do, let me think, maybe get a little bit of yellow back in. Here as well. Don't know how long this video is going to take me today, but we will get there. We will get there. So, one of these little short flats again. I'm going to get some blue. Do 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 do. Bit of white. I'm going to use some of this chalky white. There we go. Bit of chalky white, and I'm going to put a bit of black to that. Is that a nice colour? This looks like a bit of like a Prussian blue type of colour, doesn't it? And then I'm gonna, whoops, I picked up some yellow. Oh. I'm gonna tap in some, maybe a little bit darker, maybe. No, maybe a little bit lighter then. There we are. Let's just go a little bit lighter. Let's just go a little bit lighter. There's better. Just tap in, tap, 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 tap. Just like that. So far away in the distance you can't. Really decide or define them at all. So far away. There we are. Tap, 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 tap. Take your time. Caress the canvas. There we are. Take your time. Just caress it. Just caress it. Let's get some ultramarine blue. Some burnt umber. And in front of them, let's get a little bit of black to that, I think. Because they're dark, they're in shadow. This is what you've got to remember. I'm going to just change my tissue paper because it's quite full. And we put another few just there like that. Nice and dark. Separates that from that. Just another line of colour. There we go. Just keep doing these little tiny doors. Just like that. Don't overdo it. Don't want to kill all that light colour that we just put on the background, because we want to make it look as if these are in front of that. So we don't want to paint over it completely. But what we need to do is just show a little bit of depth. Just like that. There you go. So we need to make that darker again, don't we? But we want to make it a little bit greener this time. So I'm going to add a little bit of yellow into that. I'm going to get some more Prussian blue. So I just add in a little bit more of a green colour now, because it's coming forward. We can start seeing the colour of the trees. That's what we can start seeing. Again, just push up like that. Just a little bit of green. We can just see a little bit of green. Just there. Maybe in your world there's a little bit of green, a little bit of light being picked up by that light in the sky, like that. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. And let's get some sparkly doers. And just pick up a little bit of highlight here and there. Just like that. I want to say it's fantastic having you in the studio with me today. It's really made my day today. And to actually do something from somebody that taught me so much in my youth and changed my mental well-being is fantastic, actually. And it did actually change my life. I must be honest with you. It really did. So let's get a little roll of paint just on the edge of my palette knife now, and I just wanna go across. Not so much. This is not as easy to do in acrylics as what it is in oils. But if you make a mistake, a happy accident like that, just get a little bit of tissue and just wipe it away. Wipe away the sorrow of the day. That's what they say. Wipe away the sorrow of the day. There you go. Not 100% perfect, but this is not about perfect. There you go. I'll show you how to correct that bit in a second. But at the moment, all I want to do is just get a few little lines. So use your finger. A little bit of light there, like that. Blend that in as well. Why not? We got all these arsenals. You know, the best arsenal you got the best paintbrush you got is your finger, actually. Best paintbrush you got is your finger. There we are. We'll leave it that for a moment. Let's get another brush. And now let's get some of this dark colour that we've made. So a bit of black, wasn't it? A bit of burnt umber. There we are. Bit of black, bit of burnt umber. Let's get these paintbrushes and stuff out the way. And let's start here and just push up. Just chuck the paint on. Chuck it on. Go out to town. Chuck it on. Just chuck it on. Blonk it out like a blonk, 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 blonk. Blonk, 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 blonk. Blank, 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 blank. There we are. Plonk it on. We could do something similar just down in this corner like that. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. Oh, looking pretty good. Looking pretty good. Right, let's get some green now. Let's get some green and just put a very light fleck in. That's like that. Carry that over there. Just replicate that. And all I'm doing is just picking up a bit of paint and just pushing the brush in like that. This is one of my foliage brushes you can pick up if you want to. You'll find them on the website. And then just putting a little bit of darker colour in, as you can see, like that. So it's just giving that a little bit more of a lift. There you go. Now we need to just lighten our colour up just a touch more. Lighten our colour up just a touch more. And don't want to overload the brush. You can see I scraped some of the paint off. I don't want to overload the brush. And all I'm going to do now is just put in some lighter colour. Just like this, just to try and build up some layers. Here and there, and there and here, and the same there. There's a few spots. This here, don't kill all the dark. You can't have light without dark, and you can't have dark without light. And like life, gotta have sadness in our life sometimes to appreciate the good times, as Steve's father used to say. There you go. And what we need to do now is just change the tissue paper over a little bit. Let's just drag a little bit of that, just a little bit of that colour down. A lot harder, I have to say. This is a lot harder to do in acrylics, but you can get a similar effect. There we go. Now what I want to do now is to go into some yellow paint. Now I meant to use this. I might use this actually, but you can see how the paint is separated. You can see there's oil. It's not oil actually. That is resin. That was pure acrylic resin. And sometimes paint separates in the tube. So all you need to do is just mix it together like that. Mix it well. Don't chuck the paint away. All it does, sometimes if you haven't used a tube of paint for a while, it separates in the tube. Believe it or not, the resin will separate. In many cases, it all depends on how poorly, and I will say this, how poorly that paint has been manufactured. But it can separate. So just mix it together and you are away. And it's good. It's a good one. It really is. So let's use a little bit of that then. Let's use a little bit of that green. Because I put it on the palette just to show you that how that's separated, as I seen it when it came out the tube, and I thought that'll be a good thing to explain. So we'll put a little bit more light, and we're going to bring this down just like this, just a little bit on the tops there. Not too worried about the shadow colour. Come in the front, you can see it's going to build into there. I'm just bringing this more into the foreground, and as we come down to here, it's going to be a lot lighter because it's going to put more light. There you go, a bit of that in there as well. There we go. Get a bit of this over there. This is catching a lot more light, so it's going to be a bit lighter here. There we are. But don't kill all them darks. Don't kill all them darks at all. There we go. And we get a bit of yellow ochre. That would be a nice colour to put in as well. Just here and there. Just like that. There you go. So we can see it started to come together now. Now what I'm going to do is get a small brush, a little bit of black paint, just a little bit of black paint. Actually, let's use this dark colour we used for the background, and let's just bring in a nice shadow area just underneath there, like that. And let's use a little bit of this yellow ochre. I'll just put a little bit of light in. Just like that. Or maybe there's a bank, maybe there's a water bank there. Maybe there's a water bank there. Now I got a script lining brush here. It's a long, thin, pointy brush, and I just want to get some. I just want to put a watermark in. Just along the edge there, like this. Just so I can see where the line is, the water line is going to be. And let's just put a few. Let's just put a few happy little wavelets and things there. Just get your finger in, as I said, and just get a few of these in there like that. There you go. Bit dark down here. We'll sort that out now. Just get that down there like that. There we go. Got to talk to it softly sometimes. You've got to talk to it softly sometimes. The painting will respond to your voice. Believe it or not, it will. Just getting a little bit of there you go. Looks radical, doesn't it? It looks radical, doesn't it? Now I'm going to dry that off with a hairdryer. one of my favourite tricks to do with acrylics is what I'm about to do now, and I'm just going to put my brushes, I'm going to move a couple of pots and things around here like this. So I'm using my acrylic medium mix and making sure my brush is really clean like this. And I'm going to get, this is a blue and I've added a little bit of pearl essence to it. You can buy that in any shop. It makes it a little bit sparkly. So what I'm going to do is get this blue very thinly. I'm just going to bring a little bit of this blue in like this. I'm going to add a little bit of white to it, I think. In fact, I think I'm going to add a little bit of white to that. I'm just going to put a very thin coat of paint You've got to be careful when you do this because white is very, very opaque. We don't want to make it look chalky. I'm just adding a little bit of lightness. There's many different ways you could do this painting. This is just my way of painting, my preferred way of painting, and it's just the way I work. So you can see I'm just going to just paint in a little bit of lighter colour, and I'm adding a little bit of darker colour here and there like that, just to bring a little bit of light into this painting. I think I want a bit more blue there. I want to get a bit of white on my brush. Looks like there's a little bit of light coming from that sun. And just reflecting maybe on the water like that. I don't know. You make it up. It's your world. It can be anything you want. And if you like me, and you paint just to get rid of stress, and to see the joy in the world around us, then maybe this is a way that you could try and do it. So again, I'm just going to wash that brush really well. I'm going to get some very, very thin paint on my brush. I'm just going to go over the base of those mountains like this. So I want to put a bit of mist in there like that. Now it's dry. Don't forget, this paint is very thick and takes a while to dry. So maybe you can come back and do this at a later stage. You don't have to paint this in one session. That's not what it's about. This is not about painting paintings in one session. Now, using the same brush, let's have a bit of fun, shall we? Let's have a bit of fun today. Let's put a nice bright greeny type of bush type shapes in the front, in the foreground like that. Pushing up with your brush, just to give it a little bit of depth here and there and there and here like that. There we go. Put a little bit of that in the water because it reflects. We could do the same here. maybe there's a few little doers that will pick up the light and the glow from that sky. A little bit of yellow glinting away with these bushes and things. You'll just catch the light like that. Just catch the light like that. And you can get your script lining brush and you can put a few branches and twigs sticking out in the grass area like that, or even they're just twigs basically, just little twigs. Don't forget, let me show you something. Ooh, I made a happy accident. It's a bit thick. Get your finger and very, very lightly tap like that. Wipe, tap, wipe, tap, wipe. Let me show you again, like as if you're going to click your fingers. So tap, because you're taking the paint off. You wipe the paint off your finger and you're just leaving a little shadow instead of doing something like that. Oh, what am I going to do? You know, get your finger like that. Lift the paint off. Wipe it off your finger. There's a little thing for you. Some of these are darker than others, but if you find out you're putting them in just a little bit dark, and you go, don't forget you've got 4 fingers, mind. You could use your little finger like that and do that one, and then you could use that finger on that one and do that, and you could use that finger on that one and do that, and that finger on that one and do that. There we are. So we're getting these little I got an idea. I've got an idea. Now, in the can I do this? Can I? Have I got a fan brush? Maybe, haven't I? Have I got a fan brush? What if you haven't got a fan brush? That's the key, isn't it? Have I got a fan brush? I haven't got a fan brush. I can use, Clive. Okay, so let's pick up a little tiny short flat. Let's get this dark colour. Let's get this dark colour today. I'm just going to check my cameras because one of them did go off earlier. It went ping. Now this one's moved. There we go. There we are. Let's go like that. And there we are. Around. I'm going to go on the top of this one now using the edge of the brush. This one's going to grow. This one is going to grow. The paint is not as thick as I want it to be. But that's okay. That's okay. We can live with what we've got. Being able to use and live with what you've got and use the tools to hand, you'll find it'll help you in life as well. And the relaxation that you'll get from doing something like this is better than any medication you'll find. It is. It's better than any medication you'll find. In fact, let's put another one there like that. We got a big one. Yeah, he's a big one. He's got to have a friend. As Steve's father used to say, you've got to have a friend. So let's just do a little, let's do a little Barbie one. There we are, little Barbie friend. Get a bit of white, maybe a bit of yellow. Let's get a bit of yellow. Just a bit of colour in this one. There you go. Just gives it depth, doesn't it? Just gives it depth. Let's get some green. Let's mix some green, yellow, green. There we are. Watch my brush. I'm pushing it flat like that, and then I'm going to get a little roll of paint just on the edge like that. Now I'm just going to go in very lightly. Just pick up some highlights. Not a lot. There we are. a bit more light. So we need to go a little bit lighter. There you go. So there's two little trees there. I recommitted myself now. Let's get some burnt umber and black, and let's start. I'm going to leave a little gap there. I'll leave a little gap there because he's had a hard life, that one. There you go. A little baby. A little baby doer. There we are. Just a bit of fun. Just a bit of fun. There we are. Just a bit of fun. And why not? As I've said, just enjoy life. This is about painting. It's not about art. This is not about the art itself. This is about you relaxing in to your enjoyment, into your own space, into your mind. Get used to just enjoying, just to paint, because you can paint. Anybody can paint. That was Steve's father's mission, was to prove that anybody in the world can pick up a paintbrush and just enjoy life for what life is. Life is a fantastic thing. And we forget sometimes how wonderful the world is around us. And the mission statement that Steve's father said was the fact that don't stress, enjoy. Anybody can pick up a paintbrush and create a wonderful world that there is no pain. It's just enjoy. Just enjoy it. Just enjoy life for what it is. And it's a wonderful thing, is life. We don't appreciate it enough. We really don't. We're only on this planet for a short lifespan. Really. A short lifespan. We're on this planet, and we've got to make the most of each and every day. And every day is a new day. Every day is a new day. And we must remember that. So I want to thank you very much today for coming along and joining me in the studio for something that I wanted to do for quite a while, and that is to paint because I want to paint. I'm not going to win any awards with any of these paintings, especially this one. But what it is about the flow of the brush and the flow of life, the flow of stress leaving your body, and just creating something wonderful, that you can be proud of and say, look what I've done. I couldn't pick up a paintbrush yesterday until I seen this video or that video or this artist or that artist's. Everybody can teach you something, but what you've got to do is teach yourself life and stress-free living. So thank you very much for joining me in the studio today. I look forward to seeing you again next week. So don't forget, 7:30 Greenwich Mean Time, that's London time, every Monday evening. And I'll see you then. Bye. Bye.